Hi, welcome back to Echoes from the Quiet Corner. I am Shreya, and today we step into a strange future. What if birth didn't begin with a heartbeat, but with a blueprint, where wombs are built, not born? Today's episode asks a question as old as time. What does it mean to be born? Because in August 2025, a quiet announcement from a Chinese tech firm rippled across the globe. Kaiwa Technology revealed a plan to build the world's first humanoid robot with an embedded artificial womb, capable of carrying a fetus to term in a sealed, self regulating chamber. Not after conception, not partial incubation, but a complete replacement for the human uterus. Their prototype, expected by 2026, is no longer fiction. Its fluid pumps, oxygenators, hormone simulators, real time sensors, all calibrated to mimic what nature perfected over millions of years. And it definitely made me pause and think. Not just because it's bold or controversial, but because we have heard whispers of this future before. Not in labs, not in patents, but in myths and stories, in epics and warnings. And one such whisper echoes from the Mahabharata, the story of Gandhari and her 100 clay jars. In the Mahabharata, Queen Gandhari is pregnant for an unusually long time. When she finally delivers, it's not a baby but a lifeless lump of flesh. Distraught, she turns to the sage Vyasa with mystical precision. He divides this mass into 100 portions, places each in a separate clay pot, and incubates them in a carefully prepared medium. Days pass, weeks, then months, and one by one, 100 sons are born, the Kauravas, alongside a daughter Dushala. These were not stillborn errors of nature, but powerful princes destined to lead. But something was missing. These children, though royal and strong, grew arrogant, jealous, hungry for power. Their ambition, especially that of the eldest Duryodhana, became the matchstick for the great war of Kurukshetra. Was it fate? Was it nurture? Or was it the silent echo of unnatural birth? The Mahabharata doesn't answer, but it hints. When Dharma is lost, all that's left is destruction. Could the conditions of creation affect the soul of the created? Fast forward to today. Kaiwa Technology's prototype may look nothing like Gandhari's jars, but its spirit, life in vessels, feels very familiar. Unlike neonatal incubators, this womb doesn't support babies after birth. It replaces the womb entirely, pumping oxygen through an artificial umbilical cord, monitoring blood chemistry, mimicking the placenta, generating hormonal cues, all while the fetus remains sealed, unbreathing, in synthetic amniotic fluid. It's not just a life support system, it's a life creation system. This is hope for premature infants, infertile couples, queer couples, surrogate alternatives. But with every hope, a shadow follows. What happens when wombs are no longer sacred but saleable? What happens when life begins in code instead of love? And more urgently, who gets to decide which life is worth designing? In Aldous Huxley's Brave New World, natural birth is obsolete. Children are lab grown in central London hatcheries. Embryos are engineered for caste, purpose, and docility. Emotions are sedated, love is suppressed, humanity is optimized, not hollowed. And yet, Huxley saw through it all. But I don't want comfort, says one character. I want God. I want poetry. I want real danger. I want freedom. I want goodness. And I want sin. In a world of engineered perfection, the wild unpredictability of being human becomes the last act of rebellion. And now, with real world biochambers on the horizon, Huxley's fiction begins to flicker like prophecy. The question is no longer can we create life without bodies, but can we raise souls without stories? Gandhari's sons weren't evil by birth, but their upbringing was shaped by absence, a mother who blindfolded herself, a father trapped in power, a silence around their very origins. Technology could give life, but wisdom can never be taught. And that brings us to our greatest modern dilemma. In our rush to innovate, have we forgotten how to nurture? In our pursuit of precision, are we losing sight of purpose? We now live in a time where we can grow organs in vats, edit genes, generate children from stem cells, simulate empathy with AI companions, and perhaps soon bypass pregnancy itself. The artificial womb is not just machinery, it's an AI powered mother. It doesn't love, it doesn't mourn miscarriage, it doesn't sing lullabies, it optimizes. And that optimization, beautiful as it is, threatens to become sterile perfection. Birth without blood, motherhood without mess, creation without chaos. And what becomes of us when intelligence without experience takes the reins of reproduction? But unless we ask the right questions, we may build futures without futures worth living in. The real danger is not that computers will begin to think like humans, said Sidney Harris, but that humans will begin to think like computers. This episode is in no way an argument against technology. It's a celebration of storytelling as a compass, as a conscience. Because myths like the Mahabharata and books like Brave New World aren't meant to stop progress, they are meant to guide it. They whisper, be careful not just with what you make, but why you make it. Don't forget the value of mystery, of messiness, of love without logic. And remember, not all creation is equal to compassion. As we leave today's quiet corner, I offer this, not as an answer to any of the questions or the issues or the stories we discussed so far, but a thought. Maybe create not out of fear or profit, but out of purpose. May our jars hold not just life, but meaning. And may every child, whether born of womb or wire, be raised not just with algorithms, but with stories that remind them what it means to be alive. And so I leave you with this question. Will the children of biobags inherit wisdom or just wiring? And will we, their makers, know the difference? Thank you for listening. Until next time, may your quiet corners be rich with echoes that know how to listen as always. Bye.